Hello again, and welcome to another episode of No Prize Podcast. It is the final episode of No Prize Podcast for 2019, and I am your host, the Professor Bud Young, and with me, as always, from across the pond is Johnny the Machine Hughes. How are you, Johnny?
I am very well. I am all Christmas shopping out. Santa has my list. I'm probably naughty, so I imagine there'll be a Fantastic Four book in my
Excellent. We'll discuss which run later, or a new Fantastic Four book.
Yes, it's probably this run.
Oh boy. All right, and also with us, he who shall not be nicknamed, Lucas. How are you, Lucas?
I'm doing great, but I got some questions. Why do we have so many holidays packed into 1 month? Because we got Christmas, we got Kwanzaa, we got Hanukkah, we got Festivus. Man, we got all types of crazy stuff going on.
Well, that Jesus Christ has a lot of nerve.
I was going to say, aren't some of these holidays just the same one, just under a different name?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It's like, how many days of the week do we have? We must have at least 50 million days of the week. Yes, we all call them different things.
Well, don't even let me get started on Mexican holidays, because they'll have Feliz Navidad, which is Christmas, right? And then they'll have Three Kings Day that follows right after that. So it gets nuts in there. But
all you gotta do is make sure you've got enough beer to last the whole thing, and that's it. That's the plan.
I always like the last couple of weeks of the year for Marvel and DC, because they drop absolutely everything they've been holding for the end of the year. I mean, what did we get? Like 28 Marvels this week?
Yeah, but Have you noticed there's no DC books at all next week?
Well, but they dropped a lot this week, though.
The flip is Marvel have got their event kicking off next week.
Oh, what event is that?
Is it Incursion? That starts next week.
Oh, does it? Okay.
I think let me just double check. I'm sure I am Incursion. I'm sure that's what it's called. Tag one.
That's dropping on Christmas, or is it Buck's coming out the day before Christmas or the day after Christmas?
Oh yeah, it's this. What is it called? Keep talking amongst yourselves. Give me 2 minutes. I will find this out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the local comic book shops are opening up on Christmas.
No, but I mean, since it's fallen on a Wednesday, the books are either dropping on Tuesday or Thursday. So
it'll be Thursday. How dare you suggest that books come out a day early? Wash your mouth out with soap and water. You crazy person.
I used to.
So there's something called. Yeah, there is a.
Incoming. Sorry.
Yeah, you're right. Incoming. Right. It's got let's see how many covers we're looking at. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 freaking covers for this incoming thing, and there is a 1 to 200 cover drawn by George Molina. What is it in the heck?
Do we know what it's about? I haven't.
There's a murder. There's a murder in the Marvel universe. Who's being killed? Who's the person who's done it?
Didn't they do that a few years ago when they killed off the Watcher? They started off that event with.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Serious murder brings together the heroes of the Marvel universe in the search for a killer, but no one can imagine where the trail will lead or how it will affect everything in 2020 and beyond. Who's the victim and who is the assailant? Closing chapter of Marvel's 80th year, which will connect the dots of everything that's happened in 2019 and propel the narrative into the year that is to come. Featuring the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, the Guardians of the Galaxy, Daredevil, Spider-Man, the Champions, the Aegis of Atlas, for God knows whatever reason, Valkyrie, the Immortal Hulk, Jessica Jones, Venom, Ghost Rider, the Masked Raider, and more.
I can't believe they put the Masked Raider in that group, because he appears in the Marvel 1000 issue, but that guy Masked Raider hasn't literally has not appeared since like the 40s.
They've been forcing it. They've been plopping them all over the place, trying to get them in there.
Yeah, I don't know. All right. So let's jump into our our reviews, and we have a few this week. I hope everybody likes them because the books that we're reviewing, I actually kind of liked all of them, but we'll get to it. But let's jump into let's do Avengers number 28. If you're a legacy tracker, it's number 728. So who loves that? And it is the second part of Starbrand Reborn, which, if anybody's been following this particular incarnation of the series since at the beginning, they've been kind of hinting at this story since issue 1, and they do get into some storylines that they haven't really brought up since issue 1, that being the rebirth of the Starbrand. Which really they don't kind of touch on. All the Avengers are in space this issue, and the team is split into two. And it seems like, so if you read the last issue, there was a kind of like a jump, like they went into space and then they did a time jump, and like all the Avengers are all messed up now. So we have Thor has been infected by the Brood and is now a Brood character that is attacking Captain America, and then you have Captain Marvel, and then they have to you see Captain America's new suit. That's the Guardians of the Galaxy's Major Victory suit, right? I don't know if you guys remember that from the 80s.
I do.
Okay.
Kind of like it's got a Mr. Miyagi thing going on there.
Yeah.
Shield on, shield off.
So for some reason they have Silver Surfer or Black Surfer. What are they calling him now? He's not Silver anymore. Just Surfer.
Yeah.
Surfer, and we have Terrax and Firelord. I haven't seen Firelord in forever, but I love Firelord. And they have them. They're chasing the second team of Avengers, which is Ghost Rider, Blade, and Black Widow. And I don't know.
Stop talking.
All right. I should just stop because I really don't know what's going on, because it seems like it's two teams of Avengers and they're in space for something. I have no idea what it's doing for the Starbrand. I don't know why they're in space in the first place.
And the annoying thing is, you read this book. Avengers is one of your go-to books.
It really is.
And you read this every single week, month. It comes
really,
out.
Really is.
And you're telling me someone who reads the book doesn't know what's going on.
I'm telling you, Johnny.
How the hell am I supposed to cope with that?
If we did a Marvel Jeopardy on this issue right now, I would fail.
What does the letter that the Avengers begins with? Is it Z? Sorry, what is Z? I should say.
I mean, first I want to kind of call out Ed McGuinness a little bit, because Ed McGuinness is listed as the main artist on this series, and I don't think he's done even half the issues. But here, I mean, it's really obvious that this book is kind of Robbie Reyes' Ghost Rider co-starring the Avengers. I mean, they do some weird stuff with Ghost Rider in every single issue of Avengers that they don't think but they give him Silver Surfer's board and he just kind of flies around space with it. And then at the end of the issue, they give Black Widow kind of armor and turn her into the War Widow. And now they're going to fight the Shi'ar. The only thing that I kind of understand right now is the subplot where we have Iron Man back in time and he finally meets the 1 million year Avengers, which they introduced back in the special, the first issue and the special before that. So now it looks like they might be doing something with them. God knows what. But there's so much that has happened in this Avengers book in the last year that it is confusing, and I don't really get it. I don't know what the heck Blade is doing there. Blade should never be out in space. And they actually in the last issue, Blade mentioned something about, when we go into space, blah 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 blah. I'm like, dude, Blade, you've never been in space. Like, why are they talking about like he's been in space before? So
I did have some really big issues with that because supposedly he's sick now because he's near a red sun.
Yeah.
For us, for you science geeks out there, what is a red sun? There's no such thing as a red sun.
Whoa. You can't
visual...
red suns. Red suns exist. It's what thingy. It's where Superman. One orbits Krypton. Krypton orbits the red sun. It's a scientific comic book fact. Red suns exist. If you're going to turn around and say that red suns don't exist, why the hell are we doing? What are we talking about? A dude that rides a surfboard through space.
It's still the same radiological freaking phenomenon, right? It's still the same radiological stuff. It doesn't change what affects them. It's when we see a red sun here on Earth, it's just because of dust in the atmosphere. So why in the heck, if he's a sun walker, would that, or a day walker, would just because the color of the sun change how it affects him? Why would it? I need that explained.
Are we really talking science? Are we trying to talk science on a comic book?
Yes.
Can you explain why a dude can ride a surfboard in space? Can you explain why a possessed person doesn't have to can exist in space without having? You know, how come these flame doesn't get puffed out because flame doesn't exist in a vacuum because it needs air? All these things are just science stuff. So if we're going to start applying the science rules to everything, you know what? Put down your comic books. You have drank too much of the crazy juice.
This is 2000. We're getting up on 2020, folks. I mean, we got to freaking get the science a little in the tune.
Oh no, we don't.
I want to be able to push these books in front of my kids and them actually learning some stuff. You know.
Yeah, it's called
not getting stupider per each page.
Oh my god.
All right. Well, hey, so if any book we read this week needed a recap, this is the one. Just to read the first page here. Since the dawn of time, the planetary defense mechanism known as the Star Brand has granted a number of wielders virtually infinite power. In other universes, though, right? The most recent Star Brand was driven mad and died in a confrontation with Ghost Rider. That was in the first issue, right? So when signs indicated his successor was wreaking havoc out in space, the Avengers gave chase. But the mission quickly went sideways. The team is now trapped in a Shi'ar prison galaxy. Shi'ar have a whole galaxy for their prison. Half of them fighting for survival on a derelict space ship with a brood-infected Thor, and the other half racing through space in Robbie's Hellcharger, desperately trying to escape the Silver Surfer.
I have a question about the science of a car being in space.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
How can a car get into space? How can it drive? There's no road. What's it need tires for?
Well, it's a ghost car with cosmic properties.
It's a ghost car.
All right. Okay.
Because you got to remember, you got the cosmic Ghost Rider and he has his cosmic motorcycle. So there's
science.
Something.
Talk to me about the science. How can either of those two things exist? Talk to the. I'm going to stop in a minute. Okay.
Yeah. So, okay. So, I mean, this book is so convoluted, and really nothing happens. I mean, it is a chase. It's a chase issue and a fight book, and it doesn't really move the plot along at all.
Give the credits. Give the credits.
Okay. So Jason Aaron is the writer with Ed McGuinness on art, and give me a second while I.
Inks are by Mark. Don't call me Miles Morales.
Colors
are by Jason Keith and Eric Arsenicor. I don't know if I've said that right. Letters are by VC's Corey Pettit.
There you go. Thanks for bailing me out.
It's all right. I've got Miles down here. I thought this Aaron bloke was supposed to be pretty good. I keep hearing about how he saved Thor and how he's done this and how he's done that. But this book is just chaos from the first page to the last page. And I mean, are you telling me that it minimizes how to pick up the Thor's hammer? So to be worthy, you've got to think of all the good things about being American, like baseball and apple pie and home runs and double plays, and don't think of negative thoughts, and you'll be able to pick up the hammer. Okay, that's not quite what the word worthy means. And also another Iron Man suit for a character. It's getting to the point now where in the Avengers, in fact the Marvel Universe, if you run into a problem, get an Iron Man suit. And if that's the case, I don't understand why we have other heroes. Because obviously, Iron Man suit is the trump card in everybody. Spider-Man needs an Iron Spider. Black Widow needs a War Widow. Rhodey, War Machine. Dude to look after the vault needs the armor ward suit, the guardsman suits. Everybody, Captain America, poof, there you go, you can have a suit as well with a special shield on that flies out and stuff. You know what? Nobody needs to do anything else because Iron Man and his magic suit of armor, which is as versatile as Batman's utility belt and any sort of crazy science that Reed Richards can come up with, can solve every single problem. Apart from the fact that Tony got absolutely...
You get a suit. You get a suit.
Yeah. Apart from the fact that Tony got his ass handed to him in Captain Marvel 14. Go Cap. So this book, to me, for all its bright colours and all its lots of action scenes, is just lazy writing. You're absolutely right, but there's no propelling in this story at all, despite what the Charger in a vacuum is trying to do. There is no movement in the story. It is absolute. Thor doesn't have a healing power. How's he managed to, it took Wolverine ages to get rid of the brood egg that he had back in Uncanny X-Men. But no, Thor can do it. It's like, come on. They're not even consistent with themselves. This is a clobber. And it's a shame because you know what? Hidden amongst all the bullshit that's going on in this book, you nailed it, is the 1000 BC Avengers. Which, you know what? If it had stuck to that, this would have been interesting.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's the subplot is the only worthy part in this whole book.
Clobber. Get Ben Grimm to put on a Hulkbuster armor suit because he's Ben Grimm and he needs an Iron Man suit, and then you can clobber it. There you go. Cool.
Lucas, what did you think?
Well, so there's it's just like you said, it's a little convoluted. They're trying to bring up some characters. I think the most interesting thing was, with Iron Man and with hanging out with the BC Avengers. And then also the War Widow suit for any speculators that like to collect anything with regarding costumes. We still haven't seen the new Star Brand yet. The first Star Brand was the Star Brand #1. That was from back in '86. He was put behind a prison wall by the Living Tribunal. I forget when that happened, but that was a wow way back. So it's interesting that they're trying to make this a thing actually again. The three Heralds of Galactus, they've actually been dropping those guys in and out of different other comics. Like Terex, he was in Spider-Man, and what is it called? The Superior Spider-Man for a while, and so that was kind of interesting. Yeah, freaking. How many times are they going to try and come back to that point of Captain America can lift Mjolnir?
Yeah.
Got it. Whatever. Just so he can give him a headache, I don't care. I really don't care anymore. I mean, this is getting stupid. I mean, come up with something else. So here's a question. They took Blade up in space for some reason.
Don't bring up Strike Force.
Yeah. So that's another thing. You got Strike Force out there. How come they didn't take the Black Panther?
I have another question.
Black Panther was in space anyway, right?
I have another question. When was the last time you saw Carol Danvers in binary mode?
Well, wasn't she in? Wasn't it last month when she was trying to kill a whole bunch of people? She killed Thor or took his head or something.
She wasn't binary for that. She was just Captain Marvel. So, but she's got the whole binary head thing going on with all the flames and stuff.
Yeah, that happened at the last issue of the Avengers. Her binary powers got triggered. Yeah, I don't. And when Thor is infected with the Brood, does it also infect his robot mechanical arm? Because his robot mechanical arm has claws and looks like a Brood arm. I don't know.
Lazy.
I don't know. All right. So I mean, visually, I thought this book was good. I mean, Ed McGuinness is always really, really right there. I think with
I thought it was quite messy.
I mean, chaotic.
I expect like clean lines. This was like, this was kind of like cartoon-esque. It was like not a good cartoon. It was just heavy inks and I don't know. It just looked messy and blocky to me. But each to their own.
Well, I mean, he has to take like 4 months off between issues, so it makes me wonder why it looks rushed.
I don't know.
Unless he's doing like a pinup page, like the Starbrand Hulk versus Iron Man or the War Widow on the last page. Those look nice, like nice pinups. But yeah, when there's supposed to be action on the page, no. But it is all pinups. I mean, they have like the Ghost Rider on the surfboard. You know, some of those like full splash page art.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you've convinced me. I'm clobbering this book too. It's very chaotic.
Yeah.
So
this. I'm sorry to say this, but this is my worst read issue of 2019.
Oh, damning comment. That's worse.
The worst one. And I've read some absolutely crap books.
You pick some crap books. You pick all the Age of Atlas stuff.
Yeah, but at least there was at least there were some points to those books. But this was I mean, the only saving grace is they didn't put in like 20 different covers like Marvel likes to do. That's the only saving grace. It did have 2 covers. There was cover A by Ed McGuinness. There was a cover B that was kind of lascivious with Black Widow. I think that was Black Widow. That was done by Manuel Pacino. She was climbing the side of a building, which I don't understand because they're out in space. And then it was just the same old formula of, all right, we don't know where we're going to go, so we're just going to have Avengers fighting Avengers. And they actually did it in 2 different sections. They had Avengers fighting Avengers out in space, and they had Avengers fighting cosmic people out in space, and then Tony fighting the BC Avengers. This is just the same old formula over and over and over again, and I'm sick of it. I can't do this anymore, Marvel. Come on. You've got the power to build new characters, or even bring up some of the old characters. You've been trying to bring up Starbrand out of nowhere. Got it. Just get it over with already. Bring him back. Let's see what he's got. But just don't keep having Avengers fighting Avengers. I mean, you had the freaking Silver Surfer show up, and all of a sudden the Ghost Rider's fighting him. Whatever happened to having a conversation? You know?
Nobody has a conversation anymore.
Nobody.
Yeah. Ever since Bendis left, they stopped talking.
Yeah, because like if we were in a room, that's what we would do. We'd just fight. We wouldn't talk. Thank God we're on different continents.
All right.
Because here's what literally happened. Silver Surfer showed up, and they said, "Hey, he's not silver anymore. Let's fight!" And they started throwing his chains at him. That is literally what happened in this freaking book. Why is that a reason to fight? Just because he's black? That's what I'm taking from this.
All right, next. Oh boy. All right. Yes. Let's move on. Oh boy. All right.
Well done.
All right, so let's move on. We're gonna do Fallen Angels number 4, and Johnny, take it away.
Okay, so Fallen Angels number 4, written by Brian Hill, art by Simon Gudransky, colors by Frank Diamata, and letters by VC's Joe Sabino. Of all the various X books that kicked out after House and Powers, I think this is probably the most experimental of the bunch.
I think so too.
Yeah, they're doing like a whole different style of art and so on. And I like the pairing of Laura and Psylocke. I could do without Cable. I'm not gonna lie, because he's like whiny, like the worst Robin could be.
Yep.
Yeah, he's just doing my head in. But the thing with an experimental book is there's got to be a point to it. There's got to be a level of grounding at some place. And then, in essence, this is a quest book, very similar to Excalibur in some ways, in that Psylocke's been given a quest to catch up with Apoth and the drug that's been kicking around. At some point, that carrot cannot stay dangled forever. what's going to happen when she gets there, how long is it going to take to get there. I like Brian Hill's writing on a lot of books. Not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not a fan of his Batman and the Outsider stuff, but some of his indie stuff's really good. I'm loving his Angel book at the minute. Is he on the Angel? Yeah, he's on the Angel. So the things that are really working are he's seeing things from different perspectives, which this book's kind of all about. The art's a bit wonky. It's inconsistent throughout the thing, which really detracts and makes it a hard book to read. Makes it a hard book to like, I think. But the colours look great. That runs the risk of too many breadcrumbs, not enough actual conclusion, like a certain space opera that you like, Bud. That's right, Babylon 5.
I do like Babylon 5.
I know you like Babylon 5. That's why I said it. So for me, I was tempted to give this a Sue Storm, but the truth of the matter is I like Psylocke better than I like Betsy Braddock, so I'm in it for a little while longer, so this is a stretch. Me.
So yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with you on. I kind of don't really. I'm not really sure what this book wants to be. So when you say experimental, I'm right there with you. I thought this book was a little bit hard for me to follow, just because there's so much black in it, and it's dark, and it is kind of hard to kind of keep everybody straight, even though there's only 3 characters in the book.
Yeah, Laura and Psylocke faces a couple of times. What?
Yeah. So anyway, so Psylocke, to me, is Quanon, not Betsy Braddock, and that kind of confuses me right off the bat, because I don't like Quanon was not really around that long before she became Psylocke anyway, right?
Oh, I don't know. She was.
Yeah, it was forever ago, right? With Siege Perilous and everything. Yeah.
She got split. So yeah, Psylocke. So Betsy Braddock got turned into Psylocke after going through the Siege Perilous.
So anyway,
257.
Right. So what I'm saying is that this Psylocke is pretty much a brand new character, from being split from Betsy, and so there's not really a lot of stuff on her. A lot of you can kind of treat her like a new character and do some exploration and kind of flesh her out that way.
I kind of disagree a little bit. You've got to remember that Scott Lobdell and Andy Kubert, or Kubert, however you want to pronounce it, they split Psylocke and Betsy up around just after the Jim Lee run of the X-Men book, because there were when Scott and Jean got married, Quanon and Psylocke were both there.
Oh, so okay.
Quanon's been around as a separate individual for ages. She just doesn't get any love because, even in the last Uncanny X-Men book, you had Quanon, the Psylocke Quanon, with Wolverine, and it was recognized that was her, not Betsy Braddock.
Oh. Well, I stand corrected, Johnny, because I must have missed those issues from a long time ago.
Yeah,
which is saying
old, yes. Right. Thank you very much. Cheers. Yes, get it.
Right.
Yes.
So Hunt for Wolverine, Mystery and Madripoor 1 through 4 is when all this went down.
Okay, I don't think I ever read that, which is saying something. Because I read most of Marvel. So what year was that, Lucas?
I'm looking for it right now. Looks like 2018.
Oh,
really?
Nope. No. What? Quanon's first appearance was in X-Men 17 in February 1993.
Who's? Revenge?
That's part of the whole thing. Revenge is Quanon. That's the thing.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So now, hey, who's this dude on the last page? Because it looks like Proteus.
Right. So is that Proteus or is that Apoth? I think that's Apoth.
Let me just double check. I've got the book here. Last page is. I don't know who that last dude is.
Right. It can't be Proteus, right? Because
Right.
Proteus is part of the 5 that is on Krakoa now, so that can't be Proteus.
Right. So this is the first appearance, the first full appearance of Apoth. This is him and his living body. So ever since like the first issue, they've been hinting at him, and they've had like little shadows of him. But this is his first in-body appearance right here. So while yes, here's my deal. Yes, I mean so far there's been a lot of exposition through the whole title. I mean they've been cutting stuff off, and a lot of Bible verses and everything, and there has been a really good narrative. But this is an issue that you kind of have to pick up, if nothing else, than the fact that this is a first appearance.
Okay. What did you think of the book otherwise, Lucas?
Otherwise, like I said, I mean, it was just so cut off. Like there was so much exposition. Like, how do you feel about this? And how do you feel about that? And no, I don't want to kill. Oh, somebody think of the children. Oh my goodness. What was interesting was, Psylocke and X-23 were talking, and she did mention that, hey, you are a figment of Xavier's vision. He gave you the freedom and took your will. So that's kind of crip walking around something I've been saying for a while, that, hey, this is all a part of somebody's in somebody's mind. This is probably part of X-Men's mind. It seems like Psylocke kind of understands that, but they're still crip walking into it, and they didn't give it that big splash page, hey, for a dramatic effect. But it seems like some of these X-Men do understand what's going on the big side of it.
I saw that, and I took it as to be a case of a little bit not as metaphysical as that, to be actual kind of the situation where they've bought into Xavier's dream. Xavier's given them freedom to do the things what they want, but by doing that and by following Xavier's will and living on Krakoa and doing the things she wants, they've essentially become slaves to his ideas, and therefore giving up their will to do their own thing. That's how I took it. We could both be right. Ooh, you never know.
I think I think they were both absolutely right. There's different ways that I think we're both right.
So one of the complaints I'm just gonna throw out on this book, and not just this book, but all the post Age of or Powers of X books, these text pages are now forced. I really think that they're just too much. They don't need to throw these text expositions to explain what's going on, or think that it might be like a little extra to the plot. So maybe if you read those text messages, you understand the or you read this interview and you understand more of the plot. Why don't you just throw that stuff in the plot?
Yeah, it's a good point.
So I mean, is anybody actually reading the pages that you actually have to read the books?
I give them a once over. I give them once over, only if there's something in there that kind of piques my interest. But
yeah.
Other than that, I'm like, yeah.
I loved them for the most part when Kirkman was doing them in the Powers of X books, because there was so many new ideas that he was throwing out there that you needed him to kind of almost like Kirkman's Bible. Mm-hmm. These just seem pointless, and takes away from the pages of art that I'm expecting. So anyway, I'm just going to say that this book was a kind of a bit of a stretch for me.
All right,
cool.
All right, so let's take a quick.
I will say quickly before we go, Excalibur's probably the first book I'm going to drop.
Oh,
I'm going to drop Excalibur before I drop this.
Oh, you heard it here first.
There you go. Nobody cares, but
Hey. The British fan is dropping the British book.
Yeah, well.
All right. Let's take a quick break for a message from our sponsors, and we will be back in just a moment.
One would think that for all the different podcasts that Undercover Capes has, at some point, you would hear from the elusive audio guy. Well, lo and behold, it is I, the audio guy, here to tell you that we have a plethora of podcasts to tickle your fancy, from K-pop cosmos to sloppy spoilers, Flipside Focus to the Capes. Check out all of our podcasts on all of your favorite platforms and at undercovercapes.com.
And we're back. So, we've talked about Fallen Angels already. Let's move over to Daredevil. What do we like about Daredevil? Do you want to take the helm on this, Lucas? Or
let's see. Let me find my... All right, so Daredevil number 15, the legacy number was number 627, written by Chip Zdarsky and Mark Giacchetto. I've been absolutely loving Daredevil throughout 2019. I love the way it's going, and of course, big guy, Mayor Kingpin, has probably been the brightest spot of it all. So for the last couple of months, he's been trying to get this legislation through, which would make marijuana and certain drugs legal inside New York City. But he's been getting stonewalled through the legislation by the governor. So the governor sets up a meeting with the richest people in America, who I had no idea, and they're called the Stromwin twins. It's Quinn and Una Stromwin. So he shows up. And he explained to him the reason why, because what was it, last month or a couple months ago, he basically murdered a dude inside their bathroom and then tried to walk away and like he didn't do it. Like when a kid gets caught breaking a cookie jar and he tries to walk away like he didn't do it, tries to blame it on a dog.
It's like when defensive back pass interferes and then put their arms up and say, "No, it wasn't me. I didn't do it." Dude, you're the only one a yard away, 50 yards downfield. Of course it was you.
So they confront him about it. They say, we got it. We still want to work with you, but you're going to have to pay. So they bring in these guys in these crazy ass armor, and they put the hands on it. They beat his butt. He gets his licks in and everything, but eventually they have him on his knees and they throw his ass out the freaking window. And they say, we're gonna do this to you, but at least we're gonna call a freaking ambulance. So that whole illusion of, hey, he's untouchable just because he's mayor, that went out the way. The other
out the window.
Yes. Exactly,
yeah, right. It's out the window.
In the meantime, Daredevil, or what's his real name, whatever, is he's still trying to do the thing. He's hooked up with Elektra. They're on a hunt to figure out who's actually allowing all this stuff to happen in New York, because cops are backing off certain areas. They follow the trail back to the governor, and he gives up the Stromwins. So I guess in the next couple of months, we'll figure out what Daredevil wants to do, the Stromwins. In the meantime, Daredevil and Elektra, they let their tensions release, but out in the woods on their on their new car. Not necessarily children friendly, but it's all good. I still like the way it's going. I still like the way the story is progressing. At least the story is progressing. And I love the art by Mark Giacchetto here. It was really good. What did you guys think?
So I can tell you that I really love this run of Daredevil. Daredevil for me has always been kind of like a soap opera ebook, like a nice big kind of supporting cast with lots of stuff going on, and Matt Murdock can never get out of his own way when it comes to his love of women. It's like any port in a storm, pretty much is the way that I usually describe Matt.
Well, at least this one could see.
Well, that's true. But so anyway, having him, because I just in the last issue he had the woman he was cheating on with her husband threw him out, the mobster, and now he ends up back in the arms of Elektra, which that's always been like the passion, his passion play there. I don't know when they're gonna put him back in the suit, but I'm not really worried about it. I kind of like him in the black stealthy kind of ninja suit. It's pretty cool. I do love Kingpin as a supporting character here, and how he's kind of navigating the corruptness of the political life. Just say, they do the same thing over in Superman, right? When they made Lex Luthor president, and like, geez, who's more evil, Lex Luthor as president, and where he kind of just fits in with all the corrupt politicians. So Kingpin kind of really just fits in with all the really crappy people, and here he loses, right? So he finds people that are kind of more corrupt than he is, right, which is kind of interesting, and an interesting twist. But I really have enjoyed this storyline. I think Chip's really kind of come into his own as far as being able to handle Daredevil. I've really liked this series since, wow, Daredevil was never really a character that I ever actually kind of fell in love with, but he's really like more interesting stuff. You can do more interesting stuff with Matt Murdock and Daredevil than you can do with a lot of different heroes. So I enjoy this run. This is a really good storyline, and I enjoy the real focus on Kingpin. And I know it looks like Matt and Kingpin are heading for another clash in the next issue or so. So this is pretty cool. Johnny, what did you think?
So let's see. So other creators involved. There's also Francesco Mobili with art with Marco. Colors are by Nolan Woodward, and Rochelle Rosenberg, and letters are by VC's Why Don't We Call It Deja Vu, Clayton Cowles. There you go. Do you know why the reason you like this book so much?
You're going to tell me?
Yeah, I am. It's a Batman book.
There you go. Oh, okay.
It's a Batman book. Go. It's Batman number 73 through 77 of the run of this year. It's exactly the same story. A broken hero goes and gets trained by his criminal girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, could be girlfriend, to get his mojo back. I've read this already this year.
Oh, and then Kingpin is playing the Bane characters.
That's exactly it.
Okay. Okay, thanks for ruining this book for me.
Hey, do you want me? I'll ruin it even further. The reason I call it Deja Vu Clayton Cowles is you check out those inner monologue boxes. Seen that font somewhere before? That's right. The X books. So you think to yourself, the X books have got this whole little thing going on to make themselves stand out from the rest of the DC universe. Then they get the guy that did the font to do a Daredevil book, and he does the same font again, therefore ruining the idea that the X font is unique. This book, the whole, take away the Batman bit aside, the whole fall of Daredevil and the resurgence of Matt Murdock has been done so many times already. You know how we're talking about do something original with the Avengers book? Don't have Avengers fighting Avengers? Can we not get past this? Can we not get past this? The art, I like the art. The art had an almost John Romita Jr. feel to some of the, maybe without all the details, but the posture that the guy was taking. Matt's like thin waist, broad shoulders, it's proper boxer physique, I think. The colours are gorgeous all the way through.
Yes.
The interesting part of it was the Kingpin story. Kingpin realising that he's traded genuine power for political power, and he doesn't like that. Somewhere along the line, somewhere in his head, Wilson Fisk Kingpin had more power than Mayor Fisk. That's where the interesting part of the story is. The rest of it, as I say, seen it, read it 2 months ago on Batman, read it before on Daredevil, no big shakes. What be a surprise? Will we gasp in horror when Elektra leaves him?
No, or they'll kill her off again.
So originally, I put down this book was a Mr. Fantastic because it was a bit of a stretch. But the more I think about it, it's a bit of a Sue Storm for me because, which I suppose is a good thing because I remember reviewing Daredevil books earlier this year. I was thinking, oh my god, the art's ugly, it's super violent, nothing's going on, and then had the twin Matt Murdock turn up for no reason at the bar with no name. I was like, oh my god, are you killing me? So I suppose going back to the good old standards of storytelling of so it's a Sue Storm for me.
I'm gonna flame it on because I don't read a lot of Batman. So there you go.
Well, I do read a lot of Batman, but I don't recognize it unless it has the Joker in there. So I'm good with this. This is the flame one for me.
All right. All right. So Johnny,
because I'm not American. That's what it's about. Oh,
there you go. You'd be the dissenting opinion.
Good.
All right. So
that would be my superhero code name, wouldn't it? Dissension.
The dissenter. Yeah. There we go. There we go. All right. So jumping into our last review of the week. So let's go into. Or is this the last review of the year? All
Make
right.
it good. No pressure.
All right, so we're jumping into Star Wars. When was the last time we reviewed a Star Wars book? Have we ever reviewed Star Wars on here?
We have talked about Star Wars. I think I've talked about one that was a hot book maybe almost a year ago. I forget which one it was, but no. I mean, have we reviewed one? No.
So this is the book that is kicking off the next probably several years of Star Wars stories because they've kind of cut off in the last month all of the Star Wars books that were supposed to be happening pre-Empire Strikes Back, and now this is this is going to be these are the last bit of stories that are the pre-Empire. Now, starting with in January with all the new Star Wars books coming out, it's going to be post-Empire Strikes Back.
Yes.
Right.
Come on. This is my favorite. This is my jam. When I read Star Wars comics back in the day, my favorite era of Star Wars comics was between Empire and Jedi. It is surprising because Han Solo is my favorite character, but still, David Michelinie, Walt Simonson, Ron Frenz, Star Wars, brilliant. Who jibs? The Zeltrons, the Rojan that gets put in carbonite because I think it's Han Solo.
I think you're just making up words now because I don't understand.
No. I'm not. You go check out Planet of the Who jibs. Cliff, what a character.
Oh yeah.
So this is my cup of tea. I love that era of Star Wars. Love it.
All right, but what did you think of this book? This is Star Wars Empire Ascendant #1. It's a one-shot, but it's got 4 stories kicking off new chapters in the new books coming out.
So the book's a bit of an advert, and there's lead-ins from different aspects that they're going to get books in the future. So first off, the first story is everything that's wrong with Star Wars. It is Cloy beyond Cloy. Two characters, a man and a woman, find themselves trapped in Hoth Ice Base as they're carving it out to be saved by Luke and Chewie, and you find out that she's pregnant. She's going to have a kid, and it's going to be called Poe. Oh, touching. So lovely. It's supposed to be like a lead-in. To me, I was like, are you kidding me? Is that it? The Darth Vader book. They've got to do something with Darth because Darth Vader's supposed to be a badass. And yet, since his inception, the only thing he ever did that was badass was kill a bunch of Jedi kids. Every other time he's been beaten. So, it's like watching WWE and finding out that the big bad gets beaten every time he goes to SummerSlam. It's boring. So they've got to do something with him to make him the big bad again. All right. So my favorite story out of the bunch is the Bounty Hunter story with Valance. Personal history, buying Star Wars comics when I was a kid. I had the Valance story. It was in the Star Wars Weekly book. It was kind of split into two parts. At no point in this story was any of the regular casting. None of the no Han Solo, no Skywalker. The story was about Valance trying to track who was the guy that shot down Vader at the Death Star battle, and I hated it. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I bought 2 Star Wars comics and Han Solo's not in it. It's such a rip, and proper swapped off like a little kid would normally do. Seeing him back in here, I'm like, oh bless, it's Valance. Oh look, he's even got his cyborg face. It's brilliant, yay! So, what can I say? 9-year-old me is like, there is some great talent on here. Charles Soule, who we've spoke about loads. Everyone knows I loved him on Superman, Wonder Woman. You've got Greg Pak, who will be suited to doing something in the Star Wars universe, just to add some grit to it. Because I think sometimes Star Wars can be a little bit sterilized, which is odd considering the word wars is in the title. You know?
Yes.
It's not supposed to be pretty. It's not supposed to be, you know, nicey and cloy. It's supposed to be people are dying. You know, sorry about that. The advert element I could do without, but for me, I'm intrigued. It's a Mr. Fantastic. I will try the books set between Empire and Jedi, as long as they don't do stupid things like cloaking technology and telepaths, which they've done before in the Star Wars to Empire segment. So if you can do that, if you can do without those 2 things, because that's Star Trek, not Star Wars, then I'm in. There you go.
What did you think of the Dr. Aphra story? Or Dr. Aphra as a character, really? Because, I mean, she's kind of the only, other than Valance, who you're talking about, one of the only characters that has been introduced in the comics.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that Marvel are keeping continuity with their own characters. I think that's a wise thing to do, especially if you're talking about the Evership, because of the movies and the relevant TV shows and stuff like Mandalorian and other stuff that's coming out. You run the risk of falling afoul of continuity that gets put in the new show that runs afoul of the comic book continuity. So I like the idea that they're trying to work with their own stuff. As a character, Aphra doesn't do it for me, but I can see the attraction to some people. But no, I like all the Star Warsy stuff. What can I say? I'm not gonna lie. My Star Wars runs episodes 5, 4, 6, 3, 2, then the cartoon Clone Wars, then probably the Phantom Menace. I'm not counting Rogue One and Star Wars Solo because they're kind of separate, but I liked Rogue One. I thought Rogue One was class. Again, Darth Vader's really good at the end of that, but you got to think to yourself, he's such a pussy after that point. So, and a Solo story I rewatched again this week to get me in the mood for tomorrow. And the bits that annoyed me the first time didn't annoy me as much. And plus, I love the Millennium Falcon, so. And Chewbacca's my second favourite character.
Behind Han Solo?
Yeah, behind the House of Han Solo, yeah. Oh, sorry, I should change that. From The Empire Strikes Back, Han Solo.
Right.
Okay. Jedi is a little bit like, you know, why don't you use your power to get us out of this? It's like, come on, man, you're supposed to be a smuggler. You're supposed to be smart mouth. It's like he's being it's like a cat that's been neutered.
Yeah, well, neutered by his love for Leia.
Well, no, neutered by the fact that he had Harrison Ford allegedly kept having run-ins with George Lucas and said at one point during Star Wars, George, you can write this shit, but you sure can't say it.
Ooh.
Is that my impression?
I do remember that quote too.
Yeah, so
well done.
You know, and I think there were petitions at one point that when the Death Star blew up, the Millennium Falcon got blown up with it. Because as it is, Star Wars at the end of Star Wars, none of the main cast get hurt other than Luke in his hand. You know?
Right.
How can you be on the front line of a war and not have casualties?
That's true. The only people that die in Star Wars are all the British people. That are all the Imperials.
Hey. I find your lack of faith disturbing.
All right, so so what I'll say about these stories. I've actually kind of enjoyed the last few years of Star Wars stories. I think they've done a lot to try to build their own comic book universe as opposed to the actual Star Wars universe, and aside from the expanded universe that they're exploring in Mandalorian and in Star Wars Clone Wars and Rebels, which I believe Clone Wars and Rebels were actually kept as canon once Disney bought them, right? So
didn't I see a picture? Sorry to interrupt. On the trailer of the new movie, The Rise of Skywalker, isn't the Ghost in one of the shots? The Ghost being the ship from Rebels.
I believe so, but I believe the ship from Rebels actually appeared in Rogue One as well, or was it Solo? It was in a shot. I think it was in a shot in one of the hangars. I think it was Rogue One. I think it was in Rogue One. So yeah, I mean, they've established that. Plus, they've introduced Saw Gerrera, who first appeared in the Rebels show, right?
And they postulated the theory that you can't. They brought in the indicator cruiser that stops you hitting hyperspace. That was from the Star Wars books by Timothy Zahn. They've talked about using gravity wells.
Yeah, and they did the dreadnought ship. Yeah, so
so I mean, there's loads of continuity getting used left, right, and center, which I suppose is a benefit for Marvel owning both Star Wars, the comic books, and the movies. So.
Right. So getting back to the comic, I mean, I agree with you a lot. This is like a huge advertisement with like little 8-page stories for the new books that are coming out. I do like that they're moving past Empire, because I kind of feel like how much could they have done in between Star Wars and Empire? I know it was a couple of years, but there's like a lot of stuff that they did. But I'm sure that, we all kind of felt that way back when in the 70s when they were coming out with the Star Wars comics back then, right? Like, how much could they be doing? So I'm just like right with you. I was reading that first story and I was like, oh, really? This is Poe Dameron's parents, and they have to tie this into, it was kind of like it was the easy way out, right?
Yeah. It's like it's like the type of story that kids write. They'll write a Star Wars Christmas story, and where Luke or Leia sends Darth Vader a present of polishing oil for his armor because it's Christmas.
Fan fiction.
Hey, I got a warm and fuzzy. I thought it was cool.
Well, hey, you should see a doctor about that. We've told you get clean.
Gave me the cream, and now I'm all better.
So the Darth Vader story is kind of, Darth Vader. I don't know, man. Does he only work when they treat him like the Michael Myers character that just kind of shows up at the end of a book and kills people?
Exactly.
That's I've seen so many of these stories written in the past several years where the book is about like an Imperial soldier that's trying to defect to the rebels, and then Darth Vader shows up on the last panel and kills him. It's just like, oh, okay. It's not really for me. That doesn't work. I like to see some character. I like to see like Darth Vader. Darth Vader's a conflicted character at the end of the day. You said badass, where he kills the kids, but then, throughout Empire and Jedi, he wants to overthrow the Emperor. He wants to raise his kids. He's complex, and they don't really get into him at all. And they've treated him the last couple of years of Darth Vader just being that irresistible force.
They're telling you that maybe they will, and Darth Vader #1.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. For me, personally, and then I will shut up and let other people talk, I promise. Because we talk about Star Wars, I love Star Wars. there's a book out. I'm just looking up the author just so I don't get it wrong. It was by, I'm sure it was Steve Perry, and it's set between Empire and Jedi. It is called Shadows of the Empire, and it was originally created by Lucasfilm as a multimedia bit. So
I remember that from like 20 years ago.
Yeah, like in a CD-ROM. And this book, it was supposed to be canon. That's the idea. It's the thing that brings up, introduces Black Sun, which if you watch Solo Story, is mentioned as one of the crime syndicates. Right? So that book has the heroes trying to find Han, and it also has Vader going up against the crime lord in trying to win favor from the Emperor. Now that's a clever use of Vader because it's not a villain. It's not like his antagonist isn't someone he can just force choke because he's got use. So he's then got to play the game. It's not just about power. Because if it was about power, Vader would just bring out the lightsaber and do away with him or whatever. But it's not about that. And the villain of the piece, Prince Xizor, his power is equal, or his pressure of power is equal to Vader, not force generated, but still. And it's an interesting read because he has that equal, rather than in the comic books he's always playing catch up. He's like Mr. McGee in the Incredible Hulk TV show, always there after Bruce Banner's buggered off. He never catches up to those pesky rebels. He always is a step behind. But in this book, he's not. He's kind of like front foot even. So, dudes, if you want to go and check out some Star Wars stuff, go and read Shadows of the Empire.
Yeah,
I am genuinely going to shop right now. Sorry.
I do have a question for you. So, in the last panel of that particular story, what's it called? That Darth Vader story. When they're working on those Death Troopers that died, what are they turning them into? Are they turning them into the Knights of Ren?
I don't know.
Because the mask looks very familiar to the guys that were in something else that I'm going to bring up later. But yeah, it looks like they're turning them into the Knights of Ren.
Okay. Maybe that's... But I mean, the Knights of Ren, aren't they all Force sensitive, or are they not? Are they just soldiers?
They're all Force sensitive.
Okay.
They're supposed to be Force sensitive.
Okay. Yeah, maybe.
Could they not be? Are they not being turned into Vader's 501st?
I don't know.
Maybe.
Because Vader has his crack commando units, doesn't he? His crack stormtrooper units. And at this point, are the stormtroopers still clones? Or are there like some non-clones in the trooper ranks?
But these weren't stormtroopers. These were Death Troopers.
But there must have been stormtroopers at one point.
Well, the stormtroopers in starting with The Force Awakens, they're not clones.
Yeah, but The Force Awakens is set like how many years past Jedi? This is set
30.
Yeah, so chances are an average stormtrooper's 30 when he's created as a clone. So, say they're 25 to 30. So that means by the time Force Awakens kicks around, they will be 55 through 60. When was the last time you saw a 55-year-old? That'll explain why they miss everything they shoot at. They're blind. They need some glasses. I need an optician stat to the stormtrooper pay.
Oh boy. All right.
So yeah, it's a great question. Are they going to be the Knights of Ren? Are they the Vader's 501st, which again is mentioned in loads of different media, Star Wars multimedia across the way.
Yeah. So the one thing that's intriguing to me now is that the saga is over now. So the release of Rise of Skywalker. I'm not spoiling anything. This is just a question, right? So for Marvel, does that mean that that they can? Does that free them up to be able to tell stories now because there's no fear of ruining any kind of plot lines?
No.
No.
Because the saga may be over, but look at the Mandalorian. The Mandalorian set slap bang in the middle of the saga, albeit after Jedi but before Force Awakens. They're talking about a Kenobi series, which is set between Revenge of the Sith and Star Wars: A New Hope.
Right. So, but what I'm saying, though,
anytime they bring a new series in, that will become canon, and the comics will have to reflect that. There will have to be some major, seriously planning going on,
right?
To turn around and say, "Well, we're going to do this in the comics," and them to turn around and say, "Well, that doesn't fly for us because of such and such in the show." I'm not going to spoil anything, but there's already aspects of we've seen things in the Mandalorian that make an appearance in the movie.
Yes.
So,
wait, things in the Mandalorian that make an appearance in Rise of Skywalker?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we know what that is, or no?
So I haven't seen the movie, so don't spoil it. I'm not going into details, but there's things in the Mandalorian that have happened that reoccur in Rise of Skywalker. Now, That is planning. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to drop the hint, then you plant the seed, then let the damn thing flower. It will be interesting to see how important Marvel views its Star Wars books, its Star Wars comics, to see if they give them the same sort of respect. Now, please stop asking me Star Wars questions. Lucas needs to speak. Lucas,
can I drop a seed? Can I drop a seed?
Go for it.
Drop a seed.
So, in one of the episodes, I think it's either maybe 2 or 3. Mando, he's walking through one of the villages. There's an astronaut walking through villages.
There is.
Right.
Actually, it's not an astronaut. It's actually a cosmonaut, I believe. It's a cosmonaut.
Cool.
So it's either, or it's just maybe like a regular one of the old Air Force suits. But just saying.
That sort of uniform appears on one of the smaller aliens in the cantina in the New Hope.
Yeah, they actually made an action figure of that guy. I can't remember his name.
Is it Snaggletooth?
It's not Snaggletooth.
There's a Snaggletooth figure. That's what it's called. Don't laugh at me. I'm right. Snaggletooth was a figure from the Star Wars collection.
Yeah, no, of course he was, but not that specific guy with the astronaut suit on.
I think it'll be like that. Bosk also had something very similar. That same, minus the helmet. Yes. But in fact, I'll even go one step further without even looking at this. If you're watching New Hope, Kenobi's talking to someone at the bar who's wearing the full astronaut getup that Lucas is talking about. The guy shakes his head and then throws a thumb at Chewbacca, and that's how Kenobi gets introduced to Chewbacca.
Yeah, that's the guy I'm talking about.
Hey, easy, Tiger.
Yeah.
But the guy Lucas is talking about is like a third of that guy's size.
Yeah. The guy, it's a smaller guy.
Hence, it could be Snaggletooth. In fact, that's how.
Could be.
Petition. Dude in suit, #Snaggletooth. That's what we're going with. There you go.
All right.
Asking me questions about Star Wars.
All right. So I guess so. So this book is kind of like an anthology book. I'm going to flame it on because I think it's a sign of good things to come from the Star Wars books coming in January. You said this. What did you think about it, Johnny? Bit of a stretch.
Bit of a stretch.
Lucas.
It gave me a warm and fuzzy. It's a good read. If you're a hard-on freaking Star Wars fan, go ahead and pick this up. But if it's between this book and another book that I'm going to bring up during my honorable mentions, pick up the other book because I think it gives a little bit more stuff.
All right. So So honorable mentions. What else is worth picking up this week, Lucas?
Captain
Star Wars Kylo Ren, written by Charles Soule and Will Slaney, and coloring by Guru FX. It gives us an introduction and it tells us the rules for becoming a Knight of Ren, right? It's pretty interesting. So you got to be force sensitive. You need to have preserve the tools of the Ren. You got to eat what's sent by the master, and you got to be able to touch the shadow, right? Also, you also have to need a good death. It doesn't matter. It doesn't really say whether you have to have had a good death or you need to kill somebody. But that's also a requisite. It also gives further. Well, see, that's it's one of those interesting things because when it says I need a good death, that's why I'm asking about those guys that died killing the rebel cannon. That might have been a good death because that's what every warrior knows in his heart. It's better to have a good death than to have an old man's death. That's always in your mind, man. It also gives further details about what happened the night that Kylo burnt down the Jedi Temple. The bad is that there are these 3 Jedi antagonists that I don't care about. They were really uninteresting, but still good. The art was pretty good. Islani, though it freaks me out that certain elements. So, for instance, Kylo, he runs away to hook up with Emperor Snoke, and Snoke is hanging out in this place that looks just like Krakoa. I mean, colors and all. So that was pretty interesting. The reason why you need to pay attention to this book, this is for my Wednesday Warrior speculators now. So there's 4 covers, one by Clayton Crane that everybody likes. There's a cover B by Sean Tyler. That's a 1-on-1. Cover C. It's just a movie variant. So if you're ever going to any of these comic book conventions and a Kylo Ren guy shows up, you want to have him sign something, this might be the one to pick up. And then there's a cover D that's sold out. It was a 1-25. This one's by Carmen Carnero. That's going from $40 to $50 right now. So that was one of my honorable mentions. My other honorable mention is the Gwenpool. That was her last. It was the last one of the series. We don't know. Yep, we don't know when she's coming back. However, the interesting thing is that they retconned her origins, and she is now a mutant, and she has access to Krakoa.
Johnny?
I've just off the planet with that. It's like, yeah, whatever. That's not gonna happen, is it? Come on, Jesus Christ. Yes? Captain Marvel. If you're not reading Captain Marvel right now, it's absolutely such a fun read. I know we've slated the book at times, but this whole dark Captain Marvel thing is just so fun. The way she takes down Thor, brilliant. The way she takes down Tony Stark, brilliant. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be sad when it goes. I even liked the nod back to Air Force, which I thought was quite cool. But yeah, there you go. I'm whimsy like that. Whimsy.
I have one honorable mention, which is the last issue of Tony Stark Iron Man, the last part of the Ultron Agenda, and was written by Dan Slott and Christos Gage. And if you haven't picked up that storyline, this was the last part, and it is continuing into Iron Man 2020, which is everybody. Well, I don't know if everybody knows, but Iron Man 2020 has been around for 40 years. Right. So they're actually bringing the character back, giving him his own book, and it's not Tony. So it's Arno.
Yeah,
yes.
So I have the Machine Man miniseries that he features in.
Yeah, Machine Man has been in this last story arc and has been in Tony Stark Iron Man. So, so I just want to say that I kind of think it may be genius that Dan Slott has been building up to this. So, interesting stuff, and that's my honorable mention. So, I also want to kind of shout out that since this is the last pod of 2019, my book of the year is Immortal Hulk, and I don't know if you guys have thought about that, but I think that's the book that has been the most consistent. So I just want to shout that out.
Yeah, for the first half of the year, Immortal Hulk ruled the world. Right, it was a great freaking book. It was great reader-wise. Even though art was great, if you wanted to make some money, that was the book you picked up. But unfortunately, for like the last 2 or 3 months, it's slowed down. It's going in another direction. So right now, as far as reading wise, I'm still on that Daredevil. But Immortal Hulk, it's going to need to pick up in 2020 if it wants to keep its status right now.
Black Cat.
There you go, Black Cat. That's a good book.
Black Cat. It's fun. It says what it does on the tin. Great covers by J. Scott Campbell. It touches different aspects of the Marvel universe. And whilst you may look at it and go, oh, it's just a cheesecake book, there's actually quite a convoluted story going on right now where the different things that she's needing to capture and steal and whatnot. It is just a fun, good read. And to be fair, isn't that what we read the comic books for? For a fun, good read?
For sure.
So don't read Black Panther, is what you're saying, because that was my worst title of 2018.
The worst. Ooh, I don't know if I've got a worst.
There's a lot of bad ones.
It was a tough summer. Yeah, I can't pick the bad ones.
Tell
you what, listeners, go back and listen to the other pods and see some of the crap that Bud made me read. That'll give you something to do when you're bored on Boxing Day.
That's fantastic. All right, so
I do have one more. I did have one more for next week. I'm talking about. I forget what's the date for next week's books. It's 12/26, I believe. Right. There is one book that our speculators might want to keep an eye on, and that is Spider-Ham. Spider-Ham #1. There is one by In-Hyuk Lee. That one's a 1/50, and that is my last speculation for the year for you guys. If you guys want to make a little bit of money, just trying to put that out there for you guys.
I do like whoever came up with Peter Parker. Whoever came up with that, that's just genius. Whoever came up with that, unbelievable.
That was a long time ago.
It was.
All right. So that's going to do it for No Prize Podcast for 2019. Be here in 2 weeks where we kick off. Would it be season 4 or year 4 of No Prize Podcast?
It'll be the best year because all us three are there.
There you go. Yeah. 2020 right down the pike. So we will see you next year, next decade, and good reading.
Have a great Christmas and enjoy your new year.